Hi friends, welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. The last time we were together for a snowstorm and we had a whole fun snow day together. Today, it is a gorgeous sunny day. The snow is still here. It's been over 2 weeks since, well, no, not quite over 2 weeks, a week and a half since our snow day together, and the snow is still here. So it's been a little slow lately. We haven't had too much going on. I'm actually getting ready to do some more traveling here for the next 6 months. I travel a lot from now until June, and I travel a lot in the fall. So I'm getting ready to kind of ramp back up my traveling. And I think for me, the fact that I travel a lot in the spring. And so the fact that I'm kind of getting ready to travel again here in the next couple of weeks is making me feel spring. I don't know why. But it's a sunny day out. It's in the 40s, which is the warmest it's been in a long time. We actually just had a polar vortex where temperatures were in the single digits. One day the temperature was 0, which is terrible. I don't know how people live in Alaska because that was awful for me. So the fact that it's 40 degrees outside and it's sunny is really making me feel spring. And I'll be completely honest, I am itching to get back in the garden. I am struggling with the fact that I am not in the garden and I have no plants. So we are going to do a little bit of planting today. I got to get my hands dirty. I just got to get in there. So I thought, you know what, let's spend a couple of hours today getting our hands dirty with some plants. So first and foremost, this is my bay leaf tree. I love him, but he needs replanted. We're not replanted, but we need to add soil to him. He has a whole bunch of roots that are outside of the soil. So he has been desperately needed replanted for a long time. And then I found this tree. This is a pine tree. Oh, that one's sharp. You're sharp. Oh, you're sharp. I thought you were not sharp. Hey, be careful. We gotta stroke him up. I found this pine tree growing in my patio, and I pulled him out because I love him. And I think he is adorable. But also, my parents have a lot of land, and all of their trees are like maples and oaks. They don't have any pine trees. So I will take any opportunity to get some pine trees onto their property. So I like to use them for like holiday decorating, to make your own wreaths, all that stuff. And right now I don't have access to any. So I thought, hey, here's a free pine tree growing on my property. I'm going to transplant it. So I'm going to let this guy grow for a couple of years, hopefully inside my house. I will put him out in the spring and summer so he'll grow outside. But I'm hoping that I can plant this guy at the farm. And I got him from my first house. And so when I have my grandchildren running around, this can still be a tree that I had at my first house. So I thought he was cute. So we want to replant him into, I'm in a plastic container that's broken. I didn't honestly know if transplanted him, if he was going to survive, but he did. So we're going to put him in a nice pretty pot. And then I gave my mom this plant ages ago. Oh, you're wet. You're dry. You need water. I gave my mom that plant ages ago, and she has never gotten it planted. So I'm going to plant it in this for her so that she has that. And then we also have some begonia seeds I ordered and some geranium seeds I ordered. So I did start petunias and pansies. I'll take you downstairs. They just started to germinate, so I'll show you what I have going on down there. But we're going to get these started today too. Both begonias and geraniums for me take a long time. So I'm going to get some of these started today. So at least it's a little bit of something. We're going to get our hands dirty. Now have some fun with some seeds. Hopefully that tides us over until I can actually be outside in my garden. So I'm going to gather up my stuff and I'll meet you downstairs. Okay, we're down in my seed room, and in my seed room I keep at all times a big bucket of dirt, and that way I can start seeds whenever I want. So let me real quick get my things potted up. I also picked up last weekend, I got a basil and a cilantro for a meal that I was making. The cilantro is definitely struggling. The basil looks nice. I want to get these potted up because they're drying out really quickly in here. So we're going to get these potted up into something that'll help them hold water a little bit more. So let's get potted up and then we'll do some more planting. Okay, we got everything we were going to get potted up. So now we're going to get started, and we're going to really quickly plant into these boxes, or into these pots. We're going to plant our geraniums and our begonias. We're going to start with my geraniums. I got these seeds off of Amazon. And for the geraniums, we are just going to put them directly onto the soil and lightly press in, but I'll press in when my hands aren't so dirty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to make my soil surface nice and smooth. And then I'm going to throw in some seeds. Now, I'm going to kind of get them spread out. And I press them into the surface. I thought geranium seeds were a lot smaller, so I'm actually not worried about using my finger. I can see right there I have a seed on it. I can see that I have a seed on it. I can put it right back. And we're going to just lightly cover these with soil, no more than 1/8 of an inch. And then we are going to put these, we're going to cover these somehow. You can either cover these with put them in a plastic bag under a light to keep them moist, or not moist, but for the humidity. I'm going to put them in a tray, probably, and put a plastic humidity dome over them, but you definitely want to lock in your humidity. I also like to bottom water, so my soil is slightly moist. When I put them in the bottom water, this soil will soak up the rest of that water, and it'll keep that soil nice and moist for my seeds. Now, before I forget, I want to go mark these so I don't forget what I have. I'm going to get my begonias started, and then I'll talk to you about why I'm starting seeds this way. Begonia seeds are much smaller. Heavily covering the surface of that. And now I forget, let me Google. I forget if begonias need light or if they like to be covered. So let me Google and I'll be right back. When you're good, you're good. So a quick Google search said they do need light, which is what I thought. So I'm not going to cover these. I'm going to leave them just like that. I'm going to mark these as begonias. I'm going to go wash my hands. I'm going to put these back over there with the other plants, and then we'll talk about how I just started those seeds. Okay, we are over here in my seed starting area. So I have 2 different areas in my basement. I have the seed starting room, and typically the room is where I start all of my seeds. And then once they get bigger, I move them out to this desk where I allow them to grow up. But I started some flowers out here already, and I have my heat mat out here. And the reason I put them out here is because to put them on the heat mat, I needed a little bit more of a surface, and I could get more on here than I could in my seed room. So I already have a couple plants out here. So I'll bring one over and I'll show you. I've started my pansies and petunias, and things are just starting to germinate. Some are germinating better than others. So you can see all of that green right there. Those are brand new babies. And then if we scroll over, I have nothing on this end at all. But over here, I have a lot of babies, and I don't even know what I have over here. So all those babies are petunias, and yeah, all of my pansies, none of my pansies have come up. But I would honestly rather have petunias than pansies, so I'll take the petunias for sure. And then I have a whole nother, I need to get some new humidity domes. This one is also just, oh, I'm going to drop it. Don't drop it, Caitlin. This is also just starting to give a couple of babies. There are a couple of babies in there. There's not many. Probably a dozen or so. But they're still very tiny. So for these, what worked for me is I put them out here. I put the humidity domes on them, and I put them on a heat mat. And they have liked, at least the petunias, have liked that life. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with these guys. I'm going to put water in them. And then I'm just going to put the humidity dome on them just like that. It doesn't need to be super tight. It just needs to be enough to kind of trap in some of that humidity. So unfortunately, one of the ones I'm using is a little taller than the other. So that's not ideal. But let me see if I can. Okay, so for this one, I'll bring you down and show you. I actually have two like plastic covers on my geraniums. So you want to have your plants under this humidity dome, and you can see mine are starting to break. I do need to get some new ones. I use them hard. And these are Fairy More. So these are what you get at Lowe's, and they're actually honestly pretty cheap. The Jiffy ones are normally a little bit better, and then these ones I bought, which are a nice quality plastic. I bought, I think, from Grower Solutions. But I used a pot that was too tall, and so I have this, pulling in junk right now, but I have this leftover foil container my parents saved for me to plant seeds in. And it came with this lid. So I just have that lid right now over the geraniums, and then the begonias will be fine just with this lid on them. So at least I have a little bit more humidity protection there. Let me bring you down and show you more, a closer look maybe of the babies. Look at the babies. So I started my pansies and petunias right around Christmas time, and my basement, I don't have the heat on down here yet, so it's probably about 65 maybe even a little bit cooler, especially in the evenings. It's definitely cooler. Once I get everything started down here, then I do turn the heat on down here, and I do let it get warmer down here, and that helps my plants. But right now I don't want to waste that heat. Heat costs a lot of money. So I just have my plants on a heated mat, and that's doing more than enough. I like to start my pansies and my petunias early, because for me, they do take a while to get going. I started them almost a month ago, and they're just now coming up. So I did get a later start on them because I didn't put them on a heat mat right away, and I didn't give them that humidity dome right away. But at least now we have them going. They're on the right track, and they just grow a little slower typically for me. I did the geraniums and the begonias, and instead of doing the individual cells like I did the pansies and petunias, I did the begonias in the big pot. And I am a fan of planting things in big pots like that, and then as they get bigger, transplanting them out. The reason being, if you looked at those trays with the pansies, all of that space with those pansies, they may not germinate. Now, it's still early, but I will say I have not had very much luck with pansies. I've gotten a few, but I haven't gotten many. So all of that space is space that I'm using on the heated mat. If it doesn't germinate, it's wasted space, it's wasted soil. I don't personally like starting things in individual cells. If I had the space, I might do it for flowers, because flowers do take so long to get from point A to point B. And especially with flowers, I like to plan exactly how many I get. And the number of flowers I typically get, like with petunias, I want probably, honestly, no less than 50 petunias. Actually, probably more than no less than 75 petunias, honestly. I put petunias everywhere. And at least in the big cell trays like I currently have, I can kind of plan out how many petunias I'm planting. And so it has its pros and cons, but with the pansies right now, if they don't germinate, that's a lot of wasted space. So I like planting in those big containers, and then as things germinate, then I can transplant them out into their individual pots. It saves space, it saves soil, and I do it for everything. I do it for my tomatoes, I do it for my peppers, I do it for, at this point, just about everything. So I think it's a great way to get started on a small scale, and then as things start growing, you can transplant them out, and then you have to find space for all of these plants to live. But that's a spring problem that we deal with every year, and we like to have that problem. So I'm excited that I have at least a couple of flowers going. I'm happy to get my hands in the dirt again. So this is the perfect time to start thinking about your spring and summer garden. So even though it's January, even though I have snow on the ground, I have a couple of flowers started. I know my geraniums and my begonias take a long time to grow. So I think getting them started now will give me a head start, and they'll be in a much, much better place come May and June when I'm wanting to plant them outside. And then two, I am getting ready to start my peppers soon. So my peppers, again, you have to know your growing conditions. I know my basement is on the chillier side. It makes my peppers take a little bit longer to grow. So I know that for me, I get my peppers started at the end of January, and then I have nice sized peppers ready to go in the ground come May. That's a lot longer than what the seed packets tell you, but that's the one thing about gardening is you have to know your own growing conditions. And I know I have cooler temps. Even when I turn the heat on down here, I'm still in a basement. It's still not insulated. I'm still going to have cooler weather or cooler temps down here, which is going to impact how fast all of my plants grow. So we're slowly getting close to garden time. So I'm excited that I have some of my spring flowers started. And that means spring is right around the corner. And we'll be back together very soon starting our pepper plants. So I'm excited I got my hands in the dirt today a little bit. I felt really nice. And having that basil plant in the house, that basil smells so good. And it smells like summer. And I am so ready for summer. Thank you guys for hanging out with me real quick while we just wanted to get our hands dirty a little bit. But start thinking about spring and summer. I'm already walking around my garden trying to figure out where I want to put certain things. I'm even thinking about what plants I want to put in planters, like what flowers I want to put in planters. And so that's why when I'm starting my plants now, I'm thinking about, okay, I'm going to put petunias here and here and here and here. So I need 50 petunias for those 4 different locations. And then I want to have some extras. And I know I want to do hanging pots. So it's good to not just start seeds willy-nilly. It's good to have an idea of where you want them to go and kind of how many that you need. And so right now, even though it's cold outside, right now it's the perfect time to go through those seed catalogs, order some seeds, order some flower seeds, start planning out your vegetable garden. If you've never had a vegetable garden, I highly encourage you that this is the year to start. Start small, but start somewhere because it is so fun to grow something that you can eat and enjoy with your family, to grow it completely from scratch. I've been doing it for I think 8 years now, and I'm not tired of it yet. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, friends.